There is a new list. Yes, an updated list of men who should not date. And I'm going to read some of so it's a total of 29, but I just want to read like 7 of them off the top that I thought was hilarious. But I'm also going to read a couple that was matter of fact. So let's start with the matter of fact ones, which I think should be pretty low key simple. Men with toddlers or younger. Men that live with their mama. Men that live with their baby mama. DL men. I definitely support that one. But anyways, now let's get to the fun parts. Men that bank with Cash App and Cash App only. Men that sag their pants. Men that, here it is, that ask women, can I hold a couple dollars? You got some dollars? I need a couple dollars to hold. Those men, men that put their clothes in tubs. Now, is it bathtubs or plastic tubs? I don't know. It's just a tub. And so if you guys haven't had an opportunity to check this list out, go ahead and check this list out, because another one that I like, and I think Nick, who be throwing mad shade on Joy Reid, men who basically wear wigs. But let's go ahead and say what it actually states here. It states that men, that hairline is gone, but they still try to keep avoiding it, masking it, all that good stuff. So, them lace fronts looking good on you, men. Sometimes I can't even tell it's a lace front. So those are just some of the ones that I thought was most important. Oh, here's another one that's really good. And I say this because I don't like the cowgirls, but men who are Cowboys fans. I think that's a valid point there. And I view that in the same line of Redskin fans. I ain't gonna lie. But anyways, with that being said, I would love to get the men thoughts on this new list.
Which one would you say would be the most egregious? What is the worst? Which one of these 29 are the worst offender in your opinion?
So, the ones that are legitimate, such as the ones about the DL men, like, first of all, in this day and age, you can go ahead and say, I'm bi. You can go ahead and say, I like a little peen in my backside. You know what I'm saying? You can go ahead and let folks know that you okay with swinging. But anyways, with that being said, I think they're technically the worst, because in this day and age, you don't have to hide it. And then they have a tendency, if they're DL, they'll go ahead and unalive you simply because you found out accidentally. So I would just say I think that's technically the worst, but that's more on the serious tip. In regards to the silly stuff, like men that don't own a suit, right? Like, not everybody need a suit. It'd be nice to have, but it's not necessary. Or, but anyways, so I don't know. It depends. As a matter of fact, I would like to hear which one you guys think are more valid or not valid. Which ones you say, hey, keep, and the rest toss out. So I would love to hear that.
All right.
What do you think, Jay?
The only one I think maybe gets some defense, right? That I can probably defend. I mean, they all have reason. All right. We all have exceptions. Like, I think that one was like men who like stay at the Motel 6, right? That's where his spot is or something. I'm like, honestly, I would tell my daughter, no, you're not going to date one who lives at the Motel 6. Let one get his own place. One's working through some things. Let one get, you know what I'm saying? Let him get an address that he can receive mail at. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And it's not judgment or sarcasm. It's just let one progress, whoever one may be. ONE. That's not racist. Y'all so racist. Anyway, so my point though is the guy with the tub, I think he was okay. The guy with the toddler, yeah, he's too busy. Some of those made sense. The dude living with his mama, you know what I mean? No judgment, but you live with your mama, you busy, like having a toddler. I'm making this worse. I ain't gonna have no people watching me after this. Let me pass to Delvin. Delvin, save me, man. You know what I'm trying to say.
For me, the most egregious offender on this list are the grand rising niggas. They must have to be stopped. The good morning queen, grand rising. Those niggas are a menace. They're full of shit. I have it out for them. They know it. They're my mortal enemies. So I nominate the grand rising queen niggas as the most egregious offender of who should not be dating. Yeah, the motel one, that's up there. I definitely wouldn't want my daughter dating a guy at a motel. Yeah. So.
But Devin, let me ask you a quick question in regards to the Grand Rising. So you basically shaming the hoteps? Is that what's happening here? I just want to get some clarity because,
Yeah,
Dr. Umar is a hotep.
the hoteps are generally full of shit. They're covering up. The hotepness is usually a cope for something else they're trying to cover up. They're usually covering up some type of egregious fuck nigga behavior, typically. So that's why I got it in for the Grand Rising. You know, just own your debauchery, man. It's okay. You know, just live out loud. Like you said earlier, we can just be out. We can do everything. Just call, live your truth. I mean, that's what we're talking about now, right?
So just to make sure I made the connection. So you basically saying that Dr. Umar is engaged in some debauchery and some fuckery.
Oh, yeah. He likes strippers. It's okay. I mean, it's cool. I mean, I like him too. It's fine.
Yeah, you trying to get in this. He's trying to bait you on some Dr. Umar shit. I mean, listen, you're gonna bait Delvin. If you want to shoot at Dr. Umar, he'll shoot at Dr. Umar. We ain't got no fear here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, she's trying to, Delvin, she's trying to play you, bro. Like, trying to set you up. Like, you don't know what
I'm
saying.
answering everything in the affirmative. The Grand Rising niggas,
he said what he said. I said, "Hell, get off of here."
And I just wanted to make the connection to make sure it was solidified.
Yes, him too.
That's all I was checking.
But if he don't like it, come on the show.
But I don't understand why. Listen, man. As a man, I abhor. Poo-pooing on another nigga's game. Okay, like I get it. I feel you. But if it's working for him, the good morning text, the what you're doing, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not mad, because if he's talking to an earthy shorty, like that shit might work for her. Okay, so I get it. Now, to me, these lists overall, because I think you guys talked about most of the different ones, right? Like, to me, these lists are interesting because what it does is it mixes in some good situations that make sense, but with some that are like fucking ridiculous. And the problem is that some people will run with some of the ridiculous too, you know what I'm saying, at the same time. I guess, and then mentioned, for example, like, hey, Grand Rising men, right? I get it. It's a trope now. It's funny. But if that brother is out there going to 7 Under and buying shea butter and eating herbal roots and shit like that, that's the type of time that he's on. And he's authentically on that type of time, eating mango rinds and fucking watermelons. I don't know, whatever the fuck they be doing, right? And he on that type of time, you know what I'm saying? Like, now, if he ain't rocking no shea butter, you know what I'm saying? If he ain't doing none of that shit, he ain't got no beeswax, no dreadlock, nothing. He's talking about Grand Rising. Okay, he's a phony. Okay, and yes, we should watch out for him. But here's what I don't understand though. And maybe men, okay, this is a list of men that women shouldn't date. I just want to make sure. Because I think when you first said the S&M, I'm like, are these men that should not date, or these are men that women should not want to date? I just wanted to make sure I was understanding.
They're saying that these are men who have no business dating, is the way it's phrased.
Okay, cool. I'm so glad you said that. Okay, thank you for that clarity, because I thought that's fucking ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Fucking, like, men with toddlers. I mean, if he ain't the primary guardian, which a lot of men aren't, what the fuck does that mean? He shouldn't date. He shouldn't be wanting love because he had a kid who might be under the age of 4. Some of y'all bitches be moving on to new relationships after a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And you said, this man, if the last time he hooked up with shorties when they had the baby, and it's 4 years ago, he shouldn't be outside trying to find somebody else, especially if he's responsible, right? Like, same thing with the Grand Rising men. Some of y'all bitches wouldn't get no goddamn text message from nobody if it wasn't for some of these niggas. You know what I'm saying, Delvin? You claim to care about these women. Well, guess what? Their shit would be dry if it was not for some of these brothers. You want them to feast or famine, my nigga? Right? What are you doing, texters? Some of y'all bitches don't have good conversation, right? We're trying to keep the connection going, right? And you're not really giving out enough for us to really peel from. Cool. So the bare minimum is what the fuck you get. Because you deserve the bare minimum. What does that have to do with me not being able to date? I shouldn't date. If some of these things y'all applied to some of y'all, then most of y'all would not be able to date either. But since both of y'all are in the same boat, y'all really should be dating each other, which is the stupid shit about some of these fucking lists, because somehow y'all think y'all excluded from some of this shit and look past each other for real, but y'all all in the same fucking boat, man. You know what I'm saying? Pants sagging and titty sagging. It's all the same thing, man. What are y'all talking about? Last thing I'm going to say on this, because Because the one thing that people talk about men should date is when it comes to money. And I'm confounded, right? And this is why I'm confounded, because if we sit here and we say it makes sense for people to come together financially, that things like marriage and relationships are great tools to build wealth, then a man who may not have wealth yet, is he not supposed to be able to find his queen that they can build wealth with together? What threshold do you have from him being able to date? Not everybody needs Ruth's Chris in order to enjoy themselves and get to know one another. So missing me with some of this conversation in regards to, oh, it's got to have a certain amount of money. Yes, he got to be responsible to take care of himself. The end. And the same thing, hopefully, for her. But I forget, women get to be bums and still go outside as if they got their own shit together for real, right? So in other words, man, stop the cap. You know what I'm saying? Stop the bullshit. Okay? Start looking at each other for real, because both of y'all can ride the bus together as opposed to by yourselves. Fuck out of here, this fucking list.
So I would just say this. One, the women who are independent get a lot of flack anyways, which brings me to the ones that I actually do agree with on this list, such as the men with multiple kids and baby mamas. Control your seed, sir, and pick a baby mama to marry. You know what I'm saying? Or at the minimum, control your seed. Stop creating dysfunctional homes and family. I also agree with the one that said men that bash women on social media on a constant basis. Because, sir, you don't got nothing else better to do but to come on social media and bash women. There's no community service that you could do to uplift your community. Is there no conversations that or men group that you have to talk to other men about concerns within the community? Or better yet, how about learn some financial literacy if you don't have it, or get a mentor or be a mentor? So what's the big deal about bashing women on social media?
It's not bashing women. This
Well,
is their way. You know, y'all remember how like LeBron and D Wade and I think it was like two other basketball players, they showed up to a basketball game and they all wore the Trayvon Martin shirt. Remember that?
mm-hmm.
That's what this is, right? Like nowadays, the bar for activism is not very high. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people feel like by coming on social, they're helping to help let women know some of the areas for which they can improve upon, and y'all are not receiving it. And so instead of looking at it as like constructive criticism, some of y'all are looking at it as bashing. So I just want to differentiate between the guys who are actively and lovingly trying to provide y'all with some
Nick's like,
constructive
that's me.
criticism versus the people who are outright bashing women. But go ahead.
So with that being said, constructive criticism, I can understand, but some men are going with the purpose of bashing, you know what I'm saying, to be derogatory, and especially when they uplift another race in the process of doing so. And so I support that one as well. And then the one that I thought was funny because I didn't know this existed. And then I guess this is part of my circle, because it's not in my circle, so I wouldn't know this. But men that have to load their card to add money. And at first I was like, what type of card they loaded? Because I was dumb. I'm like, is this like laundry card or what the hell they load? But it's those debit cards that they have to add money
Rush cards.
Yeah. And I was like, oh shit. But at the end
Get your
of the
bougie bag. Get your elitism bag. What? You don't have a bank account.
I was like, I support that shit. You ain't got no goddamn bank account. You not
But if
stable.
you got money
You
in
don't got
it.
no credit union. But it makes me suspicious, because now I'm like, what's the reason why you only upload your card? And now I understand that if you're just starting off or whatever, or even if you had a setback in life. But at the same time, I think some of these on this list, while it do seem arbitrary, actually indicates if a person is stable, right? And if we want women to be independent or interdependent and have stability, then why can't we expect that from the man as well? Like, why can't we expect some stability? And some of these are indicators that they lack stability. And just like with women, when they make bad choices, some of these are indicators that they're not great decision makers. So therefore, by default, we can assume they're not great leaders too. So that's where I'm going to say.
Well, let me ask you a quick question, right? So are only good leaders deserving of love? Are only people who are responsible deserving of love? Are people who've only made good decisions up to this point in time? Like, for example, you mentioned the men with multiple kids and baby moms, right? So granted, I get, that's why I had to ask that question from before. I get if you're saying from a woman's perspective, if a man has multiple baby mamas and multiple kids, I get that for that woman, that could be a red flag. But if we're saying that man should not be able to date, why? right? So are the only people who should be able to date are the ones with good credit? Because as I'm thinking about it, the more and more I think about it, I don't even know how we would even be able to fix our mouths to tell people they shouldn't date for real. I know it's all funny, jokey, but yeah, go ahead, Jay. If you can help me grasp that, because I'm like,
it's economics.
Men living with their mamas don't deserve.
Dating is expensive. Dating is expensive.
Who says?
Dating is discretionary. What do you
Who
mean?
says?
Every time you leave your house, it costs something.
So where's the bar for expensive? $20 is expensive for a date?
It depends. If you're living if you are living at a level of income where you do not have a lot of enough disposable income to get your own lodging or transportation or whatever, then perhaps you should not be dating. You should be spending that money on something else. That's all I'm saying.
So you said expensive, and I was trying to define expensive.
Expensive is relative.
Which is why I was trying to pin it down, right? And I think a lot of people would say you can date creatively without having to spend a lot of money. So if your argument is the money tip, I'm telling you that you can literally spend a date walking through the fucking park, grabbing again, it depends on the woman being amenable, it depends on how attractive you are, whatever. Delvin talks about this all the time. There are some guys who probably can't pull off some bullshit. So so again, on the basis of what are you saying that some of these men should not date?
So, go ahead, Jay.
I'm just saying, simply put, and this is not classist, this ain't elitist, this ain't none of that. It's just math. I'm not saying it's just math. I'm saying if you are not in a position where you can move your program as a man forward and what you want to do, then dating is not the best use of your time and money right then, right? Because the person you're picking up wants you to lavish on them. So unless you got lavish resources, don't get into the place where they want you to lavish. Don't go to the strip club when you only got change. Same principle. Exactly same principle. And please don't get a lap dance. That's like getting, I don't even know. It's like taking a relationship serious, like being exclusive now, beyond dating. That's your lap dance. Don't do that, bro. You got change. Go back. Get your pockets up. Come back another night. That's all I'm saying.
All women do not want to be showered like that, Jay. That's cap.
So I was going to say that technically I was rocking with you until you added the lavish part, because I believe that you should date within your tax brackets in particular. And so if we're both poor, so to speak, or we both don't have the means, then yeah, let's come up together. But if you're dating outside your tax bracket, then that's when it becomes an issue to me. So for example, if you don't have transportation as a guy and I have transportation as a woman, first of all, I'm not fucking with you because you don't got no transportation. This does not compute to me. And so because my question is, why don't you have transportation? And if you don't have transportation, is there a plan to eventually get transportation? Or if you're relying on, let's say you live in the DC area and the metro is the bomb, right? The metro runs to like 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever, then it's like, oh, okay, well, if that's your primary transportation because you're using your money elsewhere to do other things that's more beneficial to you, cool, right? So I would need to know like the whole premise of why don't you have transportation? But I do believe that that's because you should date within your tax bracket. So if you're a college student, date a college student or date someone similar. You know what I'm saying? If you work at McDonald's, why the hell are you talking down to somebody else who work at McDonald's? You know, give that person a shot. Y'all both flipping burgers. And even if you do want to date up, it's just, to me, I think there's what they're saying. And I can say for myself personally, that the way I interpret it is that should not be in the business of dating. I'm assuming they're saying now, right? That they shouldn't be in the business of dating now. That's the way I was interpreting it, until they become responsible. And then by all means, go ahead and knock yourself out. Hit the ballpark.
See, this is the bullshit that I'm talking about, right? This is the bullshit. Because notice how S&M, and I'm not saying what you're saying is bullshit, but I think overall this conversation is bullshit, right? Because it supposes that who created this list? Who was the authors of this list? Was it men? Was it a group of men who came together on this list? Or is it proposed or supposed it's a group of women who came up with this list?
So supposedly it's a group of women who came up with this list.
Got it. Perfect. So what you just did is an example of what I think that they did, which is looked at it from their perspective and projected. Yes, as a woman, if you met a guy who did not have a car and you happen to have a car, these are your words, right? Then yeah, maybe it makes sense that guy should not date you. Right? Which is why I asked if we're talking about a list that women should look out for, should not date. Maybe it's a different conversation. It's a different conversation for the guy who's using public transportation. If that guy is getting to work using the bus. There are certain cities that maybe a car is not required, but let's move that to a side. If that guy is working his job and he's making a career, he lives down the way, he's able to take Uber. Uber exists nowadays, y'all. There are some places it make more sense to cop Ubers, right? So because he ain't got a car, he should not date, but yet he's paying. So I'm saying if a man at least meets the bare minimum, right? And I'm willing to, and I'm even, I was gonna say the bare minimum of living on his own, right? But I'm even gonna attack the whole living with their mama situation, right? Because what it doesn't say is the circumstances upon which his mom is living with him to a certain extent, because it doesn't take into account his finances or his situation. So again, people are making some of these judgments, and I get it on the surface of it, but that man who decided to take his mom in because maybe financially made the most sense for him because he's the only person responsible for taking care of her to a certain extent, so he should not date. He does not deserve to find somebody because he don't make enough, or he ain't living up to the standards that you think he should be living to. I'm saying
Sir.
I mean, I know it's a funny thing, so sorry if I'm taking a serious term, but I'm saying that I hear people all the time telling men, oh, because of this, and this also goes for women too, like just in general, do what the fuck you gonna do. But what I'm saying is that this idea that you get to tell him why he shouldn't do something, when I fundamentally believe that people need love in their lives. They don't just need money. They need companionship. They need love. Right? And as a person who also believes in marriage enough, yeah, I want to encourage two broke people to date each other and find each other so that maybe they can lift their broke asses out of poverty. You know what I'm saying? So fundamentally, that's where it starts. Again, I'm saying I get if there's things on this list that women are like, nah, I ain't with it. And I get some of it is funny. But even the ones that probably would all say, yeah, maybe he shouldn't if you're like a big bro trying to advise him. But guess what, Jay? Not everybody wants to be a boss, bro. Not everybody wants to ascribe. We live in a culture now where we expect everybody to want to be what we want them to be, some kind of boss. Some people are okay with being mediocre. I appreciate those people more than the people who pretend that they're more than mediocre when they clearly are not. You know what I'm saying? So leave those brothers alone if they want to be mediocre, but who the hell are we to tell them they shouldn't date and find love and get some pussy?
Okay, so first, I just want to point out, I saw what you did with the whole living with their mama and change it to where his mama is now living with him. And
We don't
so I
know.
saw the wordplay that you did there because there is clearly a difference
Okay,
between
SNL.
the mother taking their son in. But I do agree that it should be the circumstances that you should find us, like, for example, they're coming back from a divorce, or if there's some type of coming. So I think that's why I talked about even with the transportation, find out what his plan is. Like, why, like I even use DC with the fact that the metro exists and so forth, and people have no problem taking that, like, so he may be taking the metro because there are other things that he has on his agenda that he's meeting to do, and therefore the metro satisfy his requirements.
Yeah.
So I did say that you need to identify or find out what their needs are. But most importantly, like I said, at the end of the day, tax brackets, date within your tax bracket, date within your means. I've never said they don't need love, but I just want to point out, sir, I saw what you did with that, with the mama situation.
Listen, I'm caught black-handed. I can admit what I'm caught. You got me? Okay, but listen, even, you got me, but even in the situation, right, because rent is high nowadays, right? So if he's still paying his mama some decent rent because he got the little basement downstairs, yeah, he's living with his mama. I'm just saying, like, S&M, you're wise. You know what I'm saying? You know stuff. You move differently. But I promise you, like, I get some of these tropes, man, but people will take some of the stuff and run with it. You dig what I'm saying? But in terms of from their perspective, and I ain't mad at that, but let's not tell these dudes that they can't go out here and date. Some of them will only lift themselves up out of this situation by getting them another woman. Go ahead, Jay.
I
No,
so want
I
to
mean,
throw some more shade. Sorry, Jay. I just want one more thing before you go,
yeah.
Jay. Just one last thing.
Uh,
Sir, weren't you the same one that said broke niggas shouldn't date?
No, I don't think I've ever taken that position. You'd have to pull up the video on that one, sister girl.
Season
You'd have to pull up the video on that one.
two?
I mean, I'd have to see it.
Season
No, because
two?
listen, we've been on Clubhouse long enough, right? And honestly, for me, I just don't. I have this thing where it feels like it's punching down, because people who are better positioned have the audacity to try to tell somebody else. If we were people with multiple baby mamas and shit like that, or whatever the situation may be, we would not say that that's a thing we should not date if that was a situation that we were in. So it just makes it easier for us to judge. And honestly, I don't mean a lot of these fucking I mean, I got a toddler, and bitches will still date me.
But you got a wife, though.
I mean, but that's not the point, though, if we're talking about just who shouldn't date. You know what I don't see on this list? Men with wives.
That's that
Men with wives on this list?
That's funny.
No,
There
Was
men
wasn't
with
men
on
with
the
wives
list,
wives
huh?
on
are
this list?
men with wives are free
Was
game.
men with wives on this list?
No.
Let me look and make sure. And then I'm sorry, I know I interrupt you. Go ahead.
Nah, that was it.
No,
I'm just
no.
saying. Look at that. Take
Let me
that
look
to
and
them.
see if they on the
Look at
list.
God.
List. Look hard, girl.
I
But
don't
go
think
ahead, Jay.
I'm saying I don't think the list is in and of itself anything that should be used to eliminate somebody from dating. What I do think is, though, whoever was making the list was looking towards signs that the person might not be either financially stable or forwardly progressing in their life and their plan, right? Some signs of things that one by themselves can be explained. Maybe you got 4 or 5 things in the list. It might demonstrate a tendency or a lean or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Maybe this guy's bad with money, or maybe this guy's not good with commitment, or maybe he has dependency issues or whatever. Maybe he and his mama too close. Maybe he a mama's boy. It could be a lot of different things, right? So I don't believe in Xing anybody out for any one thing. However, I do think that you can take a number of things and paint a picture. So all I was stressing is that, just watch for the picture. That's all I'm saying.
And married men is number 27 on the list.
Oh, it is on there?
Oh
Yes,
shit!
sir.
Yeah, we
Number
are
27.
No,
Okay.
that was
at least they did
married
that right.
men. That was married men. That's Robin Hood. That's not us. That's
But see, I got an issue with that too. I mean, but for the sake of sound,
Wait,
the same
how
type
you got
of
an issue?
way, huh? Who says married men shouldn't date?
yes. Who says?
You don't know what the fuck that
Who?
nigga got going on in his household.
No,
You know what
you
I'm
don't
saying?
know me.
Matter of fact, why are these women mind their own fucking business? You know what I'm saying? I bet you the women who wrote this list don't even got nobody they dating right now talking about who men shouldn't date. You know what I'm saying? And they want to complain when there's no men to date. Come on, man. Y'all got to stop playing.
Well, I must admit, I'm looking forward, and I'll land with this. I'm looking forward to seeing what the men retaliate with, because the men are pretty good with retaliating with their own list that sometimes could be just as stupid as some of the things that are on the women's list too, right? It's a good mix. So I'm looking forward to see what that is. But anyways, that's all I got for this.
You literally
Nice.
could
Well, listen.
change all the lists and make it say women, and it'd still be a list. Think about that.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
Yeah,
honestly,
like let me
as
hold
I was
$2.
going-
No, go ahead.
as I was going through this, I mean, we could probably come up with last little question, right? Let's play this little game. What would be something that we would throw out there? Can everybody think of one thing if we were to reverse the list? What's the women who shouldn't date? Like, I'll go first. Pregnant women. Pregnant women should not date.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a shot with Cardi B.
No, I mean, listen, no shots. I'm
There's a
just
few of
throwing
them
out
out
as an
there.
example. It doesn't mean I really feel this way. I'm asking you.
Women
Although I
who
do.
expect a call.
Pregnant women should not date.
Women who expect regularly scheduled calls from correctional institutions should not date. If it's not a family member, you know what I mean? Like, you got a boo and he incarcerated, you should not be dating, right? If he's calling you regular, Tuesday is his day to call.
Inmate,
Yeah, you shouldn't be
573
dating.
12. Do you
Right.
accept the call?
Don't do it. You shouldn't be dating. That's all I'm saying. Don't date that dude. Don't date that girl. Yeah.
Del, you got somebody?
Oh man. I definitely. I'm trying to think of what the equivalent of not owning a suit is for women.
Bra and panties
What is
don't
that?
match.
Mm.
But you wouldn't find out till afterwards. So never mind.
No, see that's where you're wrong. Now you went too far. When the bra and panties don't match, especially if the socks don't match for a bonus, you're in for a wild
I love
ride,
that.
sir.
Yes.
So
S&M?
I would just say that on the seriousness, I actually do believe that women with 3 or 4 baby daddies need to sit down and evaluate their lifestyle and determine what's causing their decision-making skills to be lacking in certain areas. Because after you have, and unless it's through like widowed or divorced or whatever the case may be, but there has to be, I think that's actually a legitimate reason not to be dating, because ma'am, you need to be celibate for a little while. And if you're not celibate, then I'm just going to need you to make better decisions. And that starts with making sure birth control or a condom's in place. And if you already got 3 or 4 kids, but I think that's just a more responsible thing to do, is that, just be more aware of your decisions. So I agree on the men and the women's side. That should be somebody who shouldn't be dating until they figure out what's leading them to these decisions that they're making and the people that they're deciding to lay down with.
Good call.
Now,
Listen,
this is not my personal opinion, but I have seen women with Nissan Altimas should not be dating. They make bad decisions.
wow.
It's
Nissan's a
not
really
my
good car.
personal
They used to be good
opinion.
cars.
I'm just saying I've seen it.
That's
I've seen it. Don't come for me in the comments.
Damn it, and I just lost it that quickly. Oh, no. Okay, so what I was going to say was, it's like the second time it happened. So listen, I'm trying to be fair when I say this, right? I do think women should be able to date too, right? Like for real, for real. It's close to like how men should be able to date. Although if I'm being honest, the whole kid thing I think is a bridge too far. I don't think a woman should date if she is pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Especially if she's showing pregnant. I don't think she should date.
I heard that was the best clue, though.
Yeah, that's
She
what I
should
heard,
date,
but I don't
yeah.
think she should date because it's not just her dating. You know what I'm saying? She's bringing a plus one to the date. Now, if a woman's by herself, she's like
There's a plus
not
one.
carrying like, okay, cool, ma, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? And frankly, let's be honest, society is okay with women being far down badder. If that's that's probably not the way to say it, right? A chick could be living with her mama. You know what I'm saying? Have multiple baby daddies. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the shit. No, I'm saying I'm drawing the line at the pregnancy thing, but I'm saying also that I think women have more leeway to date. Like if you ask those same women to come up with the list of women who should not date, it wouldn't be nowhere near this, even if some of the same women face some of the same issues like multiple baby daddies. I think some of those same women would be hard pressed to put women who have multiple baby daddies should not vote. You know what I'm saying? I mean, should not date. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's a double standard. I'm okay with that. And so with that being said, I stand on women who are pregnant should not date because it's not just you by yourself. Okay, moving right along. You know, that baby didn't ask to go on a date. You know what I'm saying? He's just trying to evolve and come into the world with your fast ass.